Good morning, Rainmakers. Greg Silva here. I had a chance to watch a class last weekend. It was pretty cool. I don't get to schools too often, but I just stopped in to check out a class and see how everyone was doing. And of course, I get inspired by the class I watch. I want to share some ideas either to help you maybe improve your classes, take it up a notch, or just have a better understanding what may be going through a child's mind while he's taking classes. So I got there a little bit earlier. The instructor was talking to someone in his office. There's two junior instructors on the floor. They were black belts, maybe 14, 16 years old, within that range. Could be one was a little bit younger. And all the kids are on the floor. And they said, okay, guys, we have 5 minutes before class. Just stretch on your own. And the two instructors, these juniors, went over in the corner and they just sat and talked to each other. And I'm thinking, this is prime for sizzle time. Sizzle time is when you have a few minutes before class and you want to inspire the kids and get them ready. They're there early. They must want to be in class. So what we're going to do is something exciting and get them sizzling before you get them warmed up. Now, sizzle time could be you just putting some pads out there and the kids are lined up. They're doing their favorite kicks against a pad. It could be you're holding pads for them and just doing some drills. It could be that they're challenging each other for maybe a height on a flying side kick. It's just some fun martial arts training where you're not making a lot of corrections. You're not teaching them. You just let them enjoy doing martial arts. As they're doing martial arts, they're laughing. They're high-fiving each other, giving them support. They're getting more excited. You probably have your music going, so it's really inspiring for the kids. But after sizzle time, when they're lined up, they're already at a level 10. I mean, they're ready to go. Now, what happened to this class is the instructor came in, he says line up, the kids walked in line, and what I notice is two kids right off the bat yawning. This would never happen during sizzle time. So, if you happen to have a few minutes before class, don't let the kids just do things on their own. They're there. It's all about their experience in your class. You're in charge. Get out there. Have them doing some martial arts. Have them doing some fun. Have them doing some celebrations between each other. The music is important. The music really inspires people. So get some good music lists going and have that part of it. Now, if you don't have time between classes, and even with this instructor, maybe he didn't want the kids doing anything, but when he gets on the floor, he can have a 45-second to 1 minute sizzle time on his own. So before he bows in, he goes, okay, 2 laps around the room. Go, 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 sprint, sprint, sprint. Now the kids are running, change direction. So that may only last 45 seconds to a minute. Line up. Well, the same thing happened. Motion creates emotion. When the kids are running, they're getting excited. They're thinking about doing things back and forth. That movement just creates emotion. So if you don't have time for sizzle time, you can do a little sizzle and just do it before you bow in. You don't have to bow in and say, then do laps. Surprise them. Just have them do something out of the ordinary. Then when they line up, now they're breathing, they're smiling, do the student creed. Now, next thing when you do the student creed, this should be an exciting part of class. It's not just the kids saying, I intend to develop myself in a positive manner and avoid anything. No, no, no. They have to say it like they mean it. This is Tony Robbins' state management, when kids are in a state of power. So now they're in a horse stance, or maybe they have their back straight, their hands are out, their shoulders are back, and they're saying, I will develop myself. Total different results, guys. You got the creed, and you got a creed that empowers your students. Then at the end of the creed, give 30 seconds of why the creed's so important, why we believe in it, why having self-discipline and doing the right things is so important. Great lessons right there, and we're only into like 2 minutes of the class, and your class is at an elevated state of excitement. Now, during the class, what I was watching, this was a sparring class. I love to watch kids spar, and these kids were young. They range at probably from 6 to 10 years old, and they were doing some drills. Then they started sparring. The head instructor was in one ring, and these two kids, juniors, were doing the other rings. And then they got all into one ring. So I'm going to estimate there's 12 kids taking class, 2 kids sparring, 10 kids standing around the ring. And while they're standing around the ring, they're supposed to be judging. So when the judge says call, they call. And there was one student, he's all of a sudden looking the other direction. I can see the instructor was getting a little bit tense. He goes, hey, Andrew, pay attention. What are you thinking about? What did I just say? Andrew goes, I don't know. And so then all of a sudden the instructor said, okay, this is what I said. And you can see Andrew feeling a little uncomfortable. The instructor, I think, says, well, I'm doing good disciplining my kids. Two little separate thoughts. My first inclination is that if a student's losing his concentration and turning the other way, it could be the child or it could be the class. In other words, if there's downtime in the class, you're giving kids with maybe a lower attention span the opportunity to lose their concentration. So anyway, back to class. So now class is going. We're in maybe 2 more minutes. The kids are still sparring. Andrew's over again. Again, he's looking on the side. He's probably talking to Batman or something in his head. And they start going, hey, stop. Hey, Andrew, second time I had to talk to you. And you've got to concentrate. When you're watching kids spar, you could be learning something. All true. Now, let me just go back in time and tell you about my school in Connecticut. I was doing this same type of class in Connecticut, and I had all glass windows in the front of my school, and people could park right in front of the glass windows. And I had one dad in his truck. His kid's name was Ken, and I think the dad's name was Ken too. Ken Sr.'s watching the class through the window. I did a 45-minute class. Dad comes in and goes, can I talk to you, Mr. Silva? I go, sure. He goes, I was watching my son. Through that entire class, he sparred a total of 3 minutes. The rest of the time, he just stood there and judged. Well, I'm just like this other instructor. I'm justifying it. Well, kids learn that way and things like that. He goes, I don't know. I said, I'm paying good money. And this back then was probably $40 a month. But back then, $40 a month was good money. So we'll give him that. He goes, but I'm not paying for 3 minutes of class. I'm paying for 45 minutes of class. Well, that struck me. He's totally right. I was wrong. Total downtime. Don't teach that way anymore. In fact, I changed my sparring classes where I had another instructor on the floor. While 3 or 4 kids were in the sparring ring, the other kids are on the other side and they're doing drills. So everyone's working out. You're either sparring or you're training to spar. And then all of a sudden I'd blow the whistle. The 4 kids I had would go to the other group. 4 more kids who were just training on sparring drills are coming back and sparring. So now everyone's training, everyone's working out, 0 downtime. So back to this case with I'm watching and I'm thinking, how's Andrew feeling? Does he feel, okay, man, I learned an important lesson. He's 7 years old. I learned an important lesson. I've got to focus on what I'm doing. And, when I'm watching kids spar, if I realize that the kid has his head, so I have to learn to analyze fights better. Or is he saying to himself, man, that was uncomfortable. I didn't mean it. All of a sudden, I looked the other way, and the instructor's getting me, and, my parents are sitting over there, and what are they going to think? Now, what are the parents thinking? Parents saying, it's really a pain in the butt driving Andrew here 2 times a week. And for him not to pay attention, it's probably just not worth it. If the kid can't pay attention for a 1 class, we're probably wasting our time. Is Andrew thinking, I'm really enjoying this, I'm learning a lot? Or is he feeling that, if my mom and dad said I could quit, I'd probably quit? I don't know. Maybe he's inspired, maybe he's not. But the point is, we don't want to have our students put in that position. The important thing is to make our students feel great about their training. They have to feel good about themselves. So, do you take Andrew and you separate him? Do you go back to your class planning and go, I did have that challenge. In fact, last week there was someone else who wasn't paying attention. Is it me or the students? Well, when I was instructor, I always took the blame myself. If something went wrong, I would say, I'm doing something wrong. In other words, I'm teaching a class and I have to talk to kids about self-discipline. Is it my fault for not setting up the drill right? Is it my fault for giving them something hard? What could I have done better? And I used to say, hey guys, let's stop for a second. I think I messed up a little. I didn't clearly define this. Let's do it again. So always go back to drawing board. See what you can do as the infrastructure of your class to prevent things like that. And if you do have to that, just make it as positive as possible. Maybe talk to the parents. Hey, I'm really sorry I had to mention Andrew a couple times. I'm not quite sure why he lost his focus. He's not usually doing that. I mean, I just love him. He's a great student, and I look forward to having him come back to next class. Maybe we're going to have him do a little bit more sparring. So whatever you have to do to put a spin on it. And when I say spin on that, make the parents feel good. At the same time, you type or kind of look in the background and go, what could I have done better? How could I have handled this in a different situation? So, just some type of feedback. Again, that was a lesson I learned a long time ago from Mr. Johnson. And I really tried to get a lot of that wasted time or downtime eliminated from my class. I really get a kick out of working with Paul Garcia when we do instructor colleges. And he'll say, you're talking, and all of a sudden the kid looks another way. He's totally not into you anymore. He's talking to his friends. He's talking to imaginary friends. And he'd say he's talking to Batman, which we don't know what he's doing, but he lost concentration. So how do we get them more engaged so they don't lose concentration? How do we remove downtime? How do we add sizzle time? So when my students line up, they're at level 10. They're ready to go. I don't have to say, hey, try harder, try. Hey, stop yawning. Hey, if someone's yawning, I got to look again at what am I doing? Am I going to crank up that music? And I'm going to get them more excited? Are we going to do more drills and get the heartbeat up? But you're responsible for all the actions of the students. Hope this gives you a couple ideas. As with always when I do a video, if you have comments, questions, please email. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you.